All right, we're live. Hey, Dominic, can you see and hear me?
Hey Zach, I can see you.
Awesome. For people joining, this is the Stride Souls live podcast. My name is Dr. Zach Carton. I'm the Chief Medical Officer and co-founder of Stride Souls. Talking with Dominic, want to briefly introduce your role?
Yeah, my name is Dominik Walter. I'm the head of design at Streitzel's.
Awesome. So today, I wanted to discuss something that we get a lot of questions about, and also something that differentiates our company from, I think, other insole companies, and that is the level of detail and design that goes into individual orthotics for different sports. So people ask, is our running orthotic the same as our cycling orthotic, is the same as our soccer orthotic? And I tell them no, but sometimes it's hard to explain via email what those differences are and why we've
Mhm.
decided to build them that way. So I thought today maybe we could go over five of the most common orthotics that people get for different sports, and we could just have a brief little discussion about each one and how they're designed and why they optimize the performance or the foot for performance in that sport.
Sure, sounds good.
Awesome. So the number one insole request that we get for sports is easily running orthotics. So I thought maybe we could start there. And I'll just preface it by saying running is interesting in that the foot has a lot of forward motion, but not a lot of lateral motion. It's not like there's a lot of stopping and starting, like you might see in tennis, for example. And that's kind of the basis for, I think, how the design of the running insole is done. And I'll hand it over to you to give a little bit more information.
Yeah, you said the first thing already. It's a lot of forward motion. That means we have a repetitive, reoccurring, it's always the same motion. So we have a lot of danger for building up blisters, right? So we need to make sure that those areas in high danger for blisters are somewhat offloaded. And if we take a look at the runner, it's three kinds of running. There's the forefoot runner, there's the full foot runner, and the ones with the heel strike. Usually you say forefoot running is the right way of running, but if we take a look at the measurements, at least if I analyze runners on my treadmill with a pressure sensor, we see that most of them have a full foot impact, right? And what we want to do is stabilize the initial impact, right? So during running, you have a high load on your feet, like many times your body weight. And for this, we need the first impact, we need to grab the foot here without harming any muscles, but preventing from supination or pronation traumata. So that's the first thing. Then we roll off, so we need to make space for the muscles that give the stride. And then during the push off, we want to have push off over the big toe, and that's why we have a little dent or for the big toe and support for uh, digit 2 to 5.
The other toes for people who may not know digits. That's fascinating, and I really like the idea of needing to leave space for muscles to expand and contract. And this is why it's important to get your orthotic for the purpose that you're going to be using it, because running requires more muscle expansion and contraction than maybe standing all day would. And for that reason, the design is going to be a little bit different. So people need to take that in mind. What are their goals? What are they going to be doing? And use that to determine what's the right orthotic for them. It's kind of a collaborative process. The other two things that you said that are interesting is there needs to be room for the big toe to push off. Because when you run, that big toe acts as a stabilizer, but also as a propulsion mechanism. And if your shoe doesn't have enough room for your big toe to stretch out, it's doing your foot a disservice while running, and it's making the orthotic less effective. So there's kind of a symbiosis.
Zach, I didn't want to interrupt you. I saw you were talking, but mate, I don't hear you anymore. Do you hear me? What's wrong now? Can you hear me? Hello, hello?
You are.
No, yeah. I didn't
Okay.
hear you. I don't know how, but if it was my issue or yours.
Well, I was just explaining how the shoe is just as important as the orthotic and that they work together
Always, always. It's
always.
symbiosis. Yeah.
That's I actually the symbiosis is the exact word that I used. So I'm glad we're on the same page. All right, so that's running. Now let's jump to the next most common sport we get requests for, and that is cycling. So I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, cycling is also something special because here we usually do not need the rear foot area at all. So all the supports, you don't need a pronation support, especially not if you use the click pedals. I don't know if that's an English word,
Yep,
but
same thing.
everything is centered to the forefoot area. So what we need to do is prevent numbness in the ball area and focus very much on toe and ball, right? So we have a little bit of a midfoot area there, and then all the rest centers in the forefoot, right? It's also repetitive, always the same movement, but everything on the rear foot is basically it's just there to feel comfortable, to be yeah, that's the only thing, and the rest is only forefoot, right? Transferring the strength of your foot to the pedals. Therefore, those insoles cannot be too soft. The shoes are usually tight, so the muscles that are active are already limited in a little way due to the shoe. Um, and yeah, so we focus on the forefoot almost exclusively here.
Yeah, I have nothing else to add. That's exactly what I would have said too. But important to note that if you get orthotics for cycling, they're not going to be good for you for running, for example, because there's much less heel support than there would be otherwise. Um, okay, next orthotic that we get asked about quite a bit, and this is kind of an interesting one: the soccer or outdoor cleats. Um, Soccer orthotics are particularly interesting and a challenge because there's not a lot of space in the boot or the shoe that the players wear. So we need to make sure that whatever support we're able to give is able to be kind of miniaturized for soccer cleats. And I know we make custom orthotics for professional soccer players. They work definitely. So I think we're uniquely able to talk about how we design our soccer cleats and why they're among the best in the world.
Yeah, well, as you said, our soccer insoles are all developed with professionals. Basically all our insoles. Like when we have a bike insole, we have a professional biker. That's usually was back in the days the initial cost to create insoles for those, right? Because we had a professional coming up, and that's how we designed in collaboration with them the insole. And as you said, space is very limited, and most of those soccer players they wear a shoe that is equally long to the foot, so the foot has no space to expand during load. Um, we do barely consider the toe area, though, that for simply no space for toe elevation or something. What we focus on is the first ray. So this is not a soccer insole now, but it's is that area. That's turned out to be very, very useful for the ball control as well as shooting. So during the stance, during the shot, this part is especially important. So without putting too much pressure on the tendon, the flexor hallucis, that's the tendon that flexes your big toe, we still do a little bit of support because there's a lot of load, and if the shoe, they're mostly soft on the top side, if that collapses here, the shot as well as the sprints are not that effective anymore, right? So
Mm,
this is where we focus on. That's a small part in this area, very sensitive. You have to work very precise there, but once it fits everything, you will definitely feel a difference.
amazing. And if you were to estimate how many professional players do you think are using stride soles or insoles that you've designed right now?
Oh, that's very hard because we had whole teams equipped with insoles, right? A lot of them in Germany. We also have, I think, a US player that is of German nationality, right?
That's right. Yeah. Julian.
Julian, great.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say, but it's we had from Frankfurt, from Schalke, from Borussia. We had players from Munich, from Heidenheim. I don't know where Julian is playing.
He's on the U.S. men's national team, the American men's national
Oh,
team,
we have
Julian
another
Kessler.
one from the US men's national team. It's Leonard Maloney. I don't know if you know him.
Of course. Wow. I didn't. How did I not know that? That's so cool.
Yeah, Leonard Maloney is also
Yeah.
running. He moved. He's now at playing at Mainz, I think. But he was
Okay.
here like playing next door, and he's also running on our orthotics.
Well, I'm proud to be helping their feet. All right. So there's two more that we get frequently asked about, and then afterwards there's kind of a drop off, even though we do build custom orthotics for way more shoe types. So the next one is I'll call them indoor or court shoes. So uh, tennis, indoor soccer or futsal, pickleball. We make a special orthotic for this type of lateral motion, and I thought maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, and exactly. The what we focus on there, or what we took a look at, was first the shoe, because indoor shoes they look slightly different. They're mostly very wide, only on the sole, right? To have this lateral stability already built in the insole. Indoor sport contains mostly of sprints, left, right, quick like direction changes. See basketball, they pretend to go to the left and then they go to the right, right? So a lot of forefoot load as well. So we also have a toe element there. It looks different to the running one though. It's slimmer,
Hmm.
and it prevents you from slipping inside the shoe. So also the stop and go, you just are more stable inside your shoe. And the lateral movement, of course, we do indoor sport. Everyone that's playing some indoor sports knows about supination traumata, right? So we have a little bit of a wedge on the whole outside to just stabilize during that movement. And the rear foot for this area that is very important for soccer, we do not use at all at indoor sports. So we leave it completely free because jumping is a major part. Thinking of basketball, volleyball, in Germany it's handball. And jumping is also, again, mainly the big toe flexor hallucis, and this tendon gets very prominent, so we need to make sure that there's no pressure on it.
Awesome. I have nothing else to add. That was very well said. But like everything else, you need to consider the shoe that you're wearing with the orthotic. If you're wearing shoes, particularly for indoor sports, if the sole is really big and flat, that can be, or very big and thick, that can be very dangerous because it just you lose touch with the ground, and all that lateral motion becomes much riskier. You risk twisting your ankle, your knees. So it's particularly important for indoor sports to have thin, very strong soles of your shoe, very sturdy. Um,
Absolutely.
Last one, Dominic. Thank you so much so far. The last one, and I think this is pretty pertinent given that it's the middle of winter, and in the U.S. right now, we're having a big freeze. It's like incredibly cold. I was skiing last weekend, and it was minus 20 degrees Celsius on the top of the mountain.
Where
Yeah.
did you go?
So
That's crazy.
it was Vermont.
Oh,
It
okay.
was like unbelievable. And it's not even that high up compared to the Swiss Alps or the German Alps or Austrian Alps, wherever you're used to skiing. But can you share a little bit about how we designed ski orthotics, what makes them unique? And I'm going to assume that the basis of their design has to be the fact that there's not any up and down impact. Instead, it's much more rotational type of movement.
Yeah. And there's also the first thing, and that's the main to focus on, is you're standing as you stand in a cast, right? It's very stable, no movement at all. So For skiing, what's very important is, again, that's very, very thin in the midfoot area, because that's the only muscles that you can activate, right? Um, we have a medial arch support as well. You might think, why? We're not walking, we don't have any pronation. But if you have the medial arch and that's a left foot now, and we make a right turn, we fall into nothing, right? If we have a little bit of contact, then we have an immediately force transmission. So your skiing will be way more direct with insoles. What else? We do a little bit of a 4-foot pitch. It's only a few millimeters, but it's enough so you get more pressure on the forefoot. That's what you want to do, right? By skiing, you want to have your forefoot loaded. So that's also a key part. Toe elements again, right? That comes up also with the forefoot wedge. And other than that, it's really not a lot, because the shoe is doing all the rest. So it's just medial arch, a little bit of support for the toes by lifting it and making sure that there's nothing in the middle part, because then your feet will be numb. So that's very, very
Yes.
important.
And the thing that I just want to double emphasize is the importance of pronation control while skiing. That pronation lift, or can you show the wedge one more time?
The
That
wedge?
medial wedge that Dominic is showing right now, that's really high, that connects your foot to the snow. Whereas if you don't have that wedge, there is this empty space, and when you carve inside, you lose so much energy from the foot collapsing into nothing, as opposed to collapsing, pushing directly onto the orthotic, which pushes onto the boot, which pushes onto the binding, which pushes onto the ski, which pushes onto the snow. And I think what's so cool about orthotics and skiing is it's one of the sports where you can most readily notice how powerful they can be for performance improvement. So I recommend to anyone to give it a try. We have a lot of people who swear by orthotics for skiing. They've used other custom insoles and they said they were uncomfortable. They used ours and they're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. They're used to the performance benefit, but we design it in such a way where you get the performance benefit, but also the comfort and pain relief benefit as well. So yeah, I can't recommend it for skiing highly enough. I think you were going to show a foot model.
Yeah, and that's also to make sure, like, usually the ski boot, it's like that, right? So if you are in corners, it's always the lower leg, the tibia. I don't know what's the English word for tibia, the shin,
The tibia, oh yeah, 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 the
right?
shin, yeah.
Um, is the part um, giving the direction over the shoe. And we can lower the pressure on this whole area just by supporting here a little bit. So to add that to your information. So it's actually not only for a better force transmission to the ground, it's also to get the shin a bit relaxed, right? And funny
That's
enough, we
so
even
cool.
do custom orthotics for freestyle skiers. We have quite a few professionals that we provide. We were collaborating with a ski boot manufacturer there, a freestyle ski boot manufacturer, and a lot of those athletes use it in their ski boots as well, freestyle athletes.
So cool. Maybe next time we'll have to talk about the distinction between freestyle ski orthotics and standard ski orthotics. But I think for now, this was like an awesome overview of some of the most common questions that we get, and I really appreciate you taking the time today, man. And I'm looking forward to chatting next week about the next topic.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks.
All right, talk to you later.
Have a good one. Bye bye.